In my previous entry about the Star Wars franchise, I expressed some hope that the Han Solo origin film might at least have a decent script. Well, after having a chance to watch it on a cross country flight last week, I have to say I did not realize how true that would turn out to be. It was so good, I decided to watch it a second time on the return flight. This entry is here to convince fellow fans that it isn't the disaster some are claiming it to be. Let me first address the big ticket item that has caused the greatest annoyance to longtime fans, which is that Alden Ehrenreich doesn't evoke Harrison Ford's classic character very much at all, although Donald Glover is spot on, albeit with much less baggage to live up to. But this problem went away for me as soon as I began to see that this new actor had taken full control of the role. Even though his style is different, the dialogue was what you'd expect of a young Han. If you can get past that, you are in for a treat. The story manages to touch on all the canonical points of Han Solo's history while still presenting really great character developments, original plot points, and twists, which are both unexpected yet not outrageous, and all within a fast moving and creatively original action framework. Aside from being an all around well done film, there are a few other important elements that make this a worthy addition to the Star Wars universe. What really astonishes me more than anything else that this was the first post-Lucas offering that actually felt like a Star Wars movie. All the character interactions, aliens, ships, and other technologies, political and economic backdrops, sense of humor, and various locations and planets were all completely original and yet at the same time felt like they lived in the same universe as the one we were introduced to in 1977. That in itself is quite an accomplishment. You only need to compare it to The Force Awakens, which tried to copy the look and feel of Star Wars and often just achieved a cheap knockoff vibe. And finally, there were several nods to the old-timer fans that in a bad film might be causes for grief, but in a good film become wonderful nostalgic winks. Just wanted to mention a few in particular that made me smile. After Han nearly destroys Lando's Millennium Falcon ship near the end, Lando tells him, "I hate you." And Han says, "I know." We all know where that came from. Han's last standoff with Beckett has him shooting him first before he finishes a speech, and Beckett telling him as he fades off that it was a good decision because he would have shot him. A clear taking sides of the Han shot first debate and why it was okay. Before undertaking the worst part of the Kessel Run, Han states the canonical phrase which he originated as, "I've got a bad feeling about this," and which appears in most every SU film afterward. But in Force Awakens, it was changed to, "I've got a good feeling about this," and in this film, he again is the speaker and changes it to, "I've got a really good feeling about this." Another great Han and Lando interaction is when Han revisits Lando and pretends he hates him for the stunt he pulled, which he did, and then hugs him and laughs to break the ruse. Now we know that Lando gets him back in Empire Strikes Back. There's a lot to talk about in this film, including the comic relief droid L3, which didn't seem to bother me as much as some, the well-choreographed heist sequences, the judicious use of pacing, etc. But the main point here is if you are an original Star Wars fan, don't let your disappointment with the rest of the franchise rob you from having some fun and enjoyment with this particular Star Wars story.